our belief as researchers is actually that senses are key to interact with consumers, with all of us. And actually the product sensory touching points are the ones which will provoke emotions and lead to a stronger brand relationship. Now what we're seeing as well is we were always talking about brand loyalty, loyal to a brand, to the, I'd say to what a brand stands for, etc. You know it's from Nivea, so you know what you're going to get. You know it's from Mercedes, so you know what you're going to get. I think that we have to also to watch the movement today that we're moving from brand loyalty over to products experiencing. Consumers are moving from brand to brand, they're doing brand hopping, and they're looking for the experience. They want the experience thing. So we have to watch out to see how far do I interact with my products, what do I have to put into my products to keep them loyal but also keep them interested and engaged. In our research, what we look for are these sensorial quotes. Like you just said before, digging deeper, deeper, deeper. And what we want to do is really uncover the emotions. How far are your consumers or the clients engaged with the product, with your brand, with your concept? So coming for about scent, Martin Lindstrom said actually also, we do 80% of the efforts are done to create something that is visual or audible, but 75% of your daily experiences goes through your nose. And you can see how, or imagine how important that is, that people who lose actually the sense of smell, they lose the, I say, the joy of life. Like standing at a beach, if you can't smell, what are you experiencing? There's a lot that goes through your nose. So what we do, what we look for is uncovering the emotions. When, here's a quote that when you have people smelling something, you have someone who smells nice, fresh, floral. What we look for is really people who, or what helps us in our research, is to find the sensorial quotes, meaning coming from it smells light, fresh, and floral, to it's a really nice smell. It reminds me of an open field, full of pink, soft-smelling flowers. The air is clear, fresh, and dynamic. I feel like swirling around, being happy, lighthearted, and carefree. It's with these type of quotes that we can start on understanding your brand, and understanding your product, and understanding the cookies. So how do we get these quotes? Like I just said before, we started 25 years ago with actually the sense of smell. At that time, we had to adapt actually the research techniques to the need of scent research. You can't do scent research like you do any other type of research because it's so emotional and so personal, and you can very quickly be biased by what other people smell or think. If I let you smell something and I tell you, don't you smell the banana in there? Don't you smell the tropical fruits? Don't you feel this like this and this? You'll be there without even thinking. If I let you first smell and let you into your whole world and childhood memories or whatever that comes up, then you may come up with a different story. You may come up with your own emotions, with your own ideas, and that's what we're looking for. So what we had to change. We tried focus groups. It didn't work out really as we needed. Sensory panels, you probably have heard and maybe work with them. They are very experienced. I'd say the panelists are actually trained to be able to really give back what they're feeling, and they have to be, I'd say it's like they all have to see the same type of scale. You have to give back a certain experience of the product, and everybody has to agree that this is really the most moisturizing or the most silky texture or whatever. So we tried to find something in between. What we wanted is to know, what does the normal consumer out there actually feel and smell when the product is out? By starting in scent, today we cover also all the 5 senses. Just going quickly, not going into detail. One of the first adaptations that we had is how we recruit. So we go through the normal, I'd say, screening process like we always do, but we add actually a filter to find out the people who are able to articulate themselves. Thinking about what I showed you before, the quote of one smell and the multi-sensorial quote, it's really not, it's not universal to be able to describe with words what you're smelling, what you're feeling, what you're touching. And we want to find these people because only with these we can go dig deeper into your brands or into your products. So we qualify them. We have about usually 40% drop-offs from the normal recruitment. But only with these people we can go deeper, richer, and get more insightful results. The second adaptation we had is the way how we do the field work. We do, like I said, in terms of discussing just about, I'd say, the product itself or the smell itself at that time, we needed to have individual workspaces. We wanted to give the consumers the possibility to really follow the thread of their thoughts, go further in their thoughts, stay within where they are in order to deliver us with all the feedback and emotional and ideas and thoughts that they have on their own. So we have individual workspace. We do have multiple workspaces. I mean, in terms of, we have to keep costs in mind. We have to keep the organizational side in mind. So we do have multiple workspaces. We have a supervisor there. But actually, they work on their own and interact on their own with the products, with actually a questionnaire, a guide that has been developed for the purposes of the research. What we explore is any concept, scent, aroma, or taste perception. We integrate, just like what was showed before, we just don't say, or don't ask, what does it smell like? We go over a whole say area of projections to see what else does this scent or does this product, what does it bring, how does it interact? And it's through all this projective techniques that leads to a stronger understanding in the end of the brand emotionality and of the chances of success. Because something that doesn't emotionally connect with you, our experience is that usually the chances of success are not as high as others. We've done diagnostic research saying there's a range of products out there, and the client comes back and saying, why do these work and these don't? We've gone through the same process. Everything has been researched. I'm not putting something on the market where I really know that it's not going to work. So why does it not work? And by going through the research, we just found that I'd say the brands that were working or the variants that were working were the ones that were really holistic, meaning I see something, I imagine something, and when I open it, it's what I imagined. So it's just the whole circle holistically working. Things that were not working were when I see something I imagine, I open the bottle, and the smell turns me totally off. Not because the smell is bad, but because it doesn't fit to my expectations that I had while seeing that. Same thing with the texture. If you go out for something extremely new, deepening, moisturizing, whatever, and then the texture is very thin, unless you say it's a very light one. It's all about really the holistic perception of the product from A to Z, from what I see, what I experience by smelling, what I experience by touching. And by doing the way that we go to detect this, we uncover what we call the emotional involvement. Now we're all in the challenge of a new era in terms of market research. I'd say not only us in terms of researchers, I'd say on the agency side, but I think also from the client side. There's a lot happening out there. And when we started our research, we thought about how to adapt the research to the need of scent research. I think now it's a bit of a mixture of also how to adapt our tools to the needs of the new consumer. Does the consumer need a new way to be talked to? Does the consumer act differently if he's online or if he's in a traditional way? So this is what we actually tried to define by going through our pilot after. We have consumers spend about 21 hours a week, and I guess even the younger ones see a lot more online. There's an increase of digital devices, and we can see on the tables between the iPads, the iPods, the laptops, whatever, there's an increase. Even men are starting to be multitaskers. So this is a movement. I don't know, how many of you multitask in the evening? How many devices do you have when you multitask? 2, 3? Who has more than 3? Who has 3? So it's laptop, iPad, phone. So as you see, and that's just the beginning. I mean, in the future, we don't know. Maybe there will be one with everything interacted in one, but it's just the tendency is really you're with a laptop, you're watching TV at the same time, you're reading your textos, you want to Twitter, you're looking for your SMS. It's constant online, also from your brain. And even the teenagers from today, they're not used to be bored anymore. They don't know what it is to be bored. It's true. If they stand there and they don't have their iPhone or something with them, they're desperate because they're not used to it. They're used to constantly being in communication. And if they don't communicate with someone, then they browse and look for something. So it's really, it's a change in the mentality of our consumers as well, of how they interact. So we wanted just to try, from our traditional way of doing, putting it into digital online sessions, deliberately, at the beginning, not really trying to find the funky new thing, but just trying to see where are the limits. What can I take from that? How do my consumers interact with that? And in the end, after that, then thinking, how do I need to integrate that? How can I integrate that? And does it bring something new? So our ideas or thoughts or questions were really about how emotionally involved are the consumers online? How good is the sensorial feedback? In the sense is, do we get the same quality that we had before with our research? How engaged are they really when they are online? And can online really be used for any and all research purposes? Now here's a quote online that I found, which I thought was giving back the thoughts that I had, or a lot of people have here, is guy saying, I'm in my mid-30s, and the point remains that growing up digital leads to some of the tendencies I'm noticing. There's a lack of ability to be fully present. It's like I said, multitasking. Are you really in one thing? Are you in 3 things differently? How concentrated are you really in these 3? I guess our generation, we're starting to be multitaskers, but our brain has been used to work differently over the years, so it's harder for us to get in there. We're getting there. But maybe the new generation, the ones that are now teens or even younger, maybe their brain, until they come to being 20 years old, maybe they will be able to really be deeply involved at each stage just because they have been used to doing that from the beginning. But we're now I'd say in the swirling phase where we have to define who is that a problem for us, or how can we cope with this? So we did an online pilot to try to answer some of our questions. We used an online market research platform, and we used a software for sensory research, because what we do is not just about what do you think about it, but then we go, it's a mix of qual-quant, just to give tendencies of attributes, of likings, of intensity, etc. So the project was about sun care. It was about selecting a fragrance for sun care and getting back detailed descriptions about the fragrance using the qualitative approach. And we had 3 different fragrances that were used for this research. So we ran 2 studies in parallel. We had 12 consumers from the target group that were filtered for their ability of expressing themselves sensorially. So on the one hand side, we have the central location, the paper questionnaire, the 2-hour session with a supervisor. On the other hand side, we have the digital method with home, being alone at home, online platform, and over 1 day. The setup, what it looks like, the paper questionnaire, and on the bottom side, you see how the consumers were set with the products in front of them. Digital method, we had the online platform where there was moderator videos, tasks to do. They were run through the whole thing. And then we had a software link when it came to going through attributes. Just the flow quickly. Recruitment, about 2 weeks. Then we had the CLT session. And then in the end, after the session, actually questionnaires were collected, given to someone who does the data entry, the transcriptions. From the digital side, we had the recruitment, same. We had then an introduction email sent out. We had products sent out to consumers. We had then the fieldwork start via also a video introduction. Then they did the research, and in the end, actually, the transcriptions of the videos were done also online by the provider. Just to show how the raw data looked like. On the left side, again, the transcripts of the open ends and the tabulations of the closed. The digital method was also tabulations. Then we had them do collages. Then we had them give us pictures from their events experienced. We had videos, and we had the transcripts of the videos. A very short snap of the reporting just led to linked to the scent feedback. So just saying, this is showing one of the scents that have been smelled. So giving back how much it's like, the intensity, the fit to the concept, but also how, within all the sensorial quotes that we received, how can we characterize this smell compared to the other ones? And then other things about the colors, the feelings, etc. So it's just really just visually a short feedback of one of the things we can deliver. This is the digital report for the same scent. The heart stays the same. The dimensions are the same. They're not smelling something different. The only thing in brackets that is added is that we have videos from consumers, and we have collages from consumers that were done especially for this scent. So what we saw is actually the sensorial feedback as such, or the deepness, or the quality was the same between both researches. We got same type of deep feedback. They were engaged from this perspective in a way where we can say we got out what we needed in order to be able to get back to our client and say this is the best one because, or there's nothing there because. The report, what we saw, is definitely more interesting and fun to look at. So now going through the advantages and the disadvantages of such a methodology, what prevails in our case. I mean, it's not, maybe for others it will be different. I just put here a list of the different, aspects that coming in are put in place when we do a project, when we have a project. So in terms of organization, okay, now I don't know, how do I go on there? I'm going to touch. I want to move on. I can't move on from here. Ja, mit dem Laserpointer, da kann ich nicht drücken. Ja, aber ich gehe dann zu einer anderen Folie. Geht nicht? Nee. Ah, genau. Right. Yeah, thank you. But then I'll need you also to go back. Okay. So in terms of organization, it was neither thumbs up nor down. It was, say, in the middle. And I mean, here it's maybe also dialoguing here. You can start if you want, not just having the inner dialogue. About what we saw is in terms of multi-sensorial research, it is extremely important that you have a very, very meticulous organization. Each step needs to be thought through. Just like you said, also the stimuli needs to be thought through. What do you put? When do you show what, etc. You have to diversify the tasks in order to keep the consumers motivated. So that's in general. In terms of the traditional method, you have really the test material that needs to be prepared. You have to have a clear brief with the supervisor and a clear script. And then you have the interaction with the consumers at the spot. Digital, it is what I would say really a micro-organization. You have to keep the communication a kiss, meaning keep it simple and silly. The consumers in this sense, or the participants, are really alone in front of their screen. If they don't understand really what you need, and first they start to get stressed, they think they're not intelligent enough to understand it. there is a possibility to communicate with us, but then it goes over email, etc. So it's not an online communication, so you really have to keep the things as simple as possible. Yeah. Yeah, we did for the different tasks that they had to do. We did a video just to introduce. Now you're going to do this. It's about this. Just to keep an engagement. Have the feeling it's not just in front of a box and I'm alone. To have a face and have a sort of more human relationship with them. But it was not a live discussion with them. What we saw is that you have to limit the number of questions and tasks per assignment. If you have more than 3 things to do on one page, in terms of the online, then you may miss half of it. Add interactions with the participants. We had the video moderations, but what we did as well is when they put a collage in or pictures, we would ask them, say, I saw this is great, why did you put that on that end, or what do you mean with this? Just so that they felt, okay, I'm not just giving things and then nobody's really taking care of it, but there's somebody out there actually interested in what I'm doing. And you do have to calculate delays with what we call the mom time schedule. I mean, we're at home, or it's at home, so you do have things interacting, or not things, but maybe kids interacting. And it's just, you just can't keep maybe your 2 hours. Of course, what we needed was a 2 hours time. You can't necessarily keep them in front of the computer for 2 hours without maybe other things happening in between. I need to get back now. You have to, on summarizing on the bottom right. No, bottom right. Just click. Right. Thank you. In terms of analysis, now you would have to click the thumb up. It's thumbs up and like this. As we all know as researchers, if it's quant or if it's qual, it's both the same thing. Raw data, well prepared, is almost already half of the analysis done. In the traditional method, we had the software reporting. For digital, we had the reporting, we had the picture collages, we had the videos, and we had the transcripts of the videos. So what does that mean? That means really an increase of the amount of data. And I know there's Daisy who's doing after about how to handle all these type of different data. Maybe she has ideas here how to do it maybe quicker. Because what does that bring? It brings, of course, something interesting to see, to look at, to interact with. And I must say that it was also easy to go through the videos, to code them, to make the videos, to say 1 minute interesting video illustration. But to do that, it does need time. And so it adds analyzing time on top of, I'd say, the deepness of the research or the analysis that you would normally go through in order to help your client. So it is great, it looks good, it does bring something more in terms of visualization, but it does take also more time. In terms of reporting and sensorial richness, of course, this is something that is really on the client's advantage. What we saw is that reporting is definitely more active, more visual, and more fun. And the emotions are not just described like in the first reporting where you have to read everything. You can read everything, but then you also have, I'd say, the visualizing what your consumers are thinking and feeling. And maybe we can listen to, if you can click on the video, go back. If you can click on the video.
It's very pleasant. It's kind of beachy, summery. I smell fruit. Reminds me of a pina colada. I smell a little bit of coconut, but it's not too heavy.
See how they
This
engage
is a
and
very,
enjoy.
very unusual fragrance for the sunscreen, which makes it very
She loves
modern,
it.
I would say, and brings all the positive emotion and energy. I just want to keep smelling it. That good.
The sun.
So here the quality is not really good, and these are other things. You do tell them, watch out that you see your face, etc. It's just important to see, you can see on her face how she's really just diving into that scent.
Relaxed and calm and just soothed. I really like this smell a lot.
So again, this video feedback is great to illustrate what, I say, from the findings of the research, the qualitative findings of the research. If you could go back. Sensory research, richness, as we know, there's nothing there, which is as good, so there's nothing back on that. Consumer involvement, it's thumbs up and like this. I would say we had participants. This was done in the U.S. In New Jersey, and we do have a big pool of consumers. We work there, so we had consumers who did both type of methodologies that were 1 year before involved in research about writing, and we wanted to see from them how did they experience this as well from the consumer side. Is there one technology or one way of doing that they prefer compared to another, and if yes, why and how? And I mean, they're consumers, so you do have people who prefer writing, you do have people who prefer talking, you have people who prefer interacting. There's a little bit of everything, but maybe we can just listen to them.
I thought this survey was very simple. I enjoyed that my computer, the webcam worked, everything was on here. You didn't have to rely on your computer software. I've had issues with my webcam in the past, and for this survey it worked without a hitch.
The video recording and uploading, it makes it easy. You don't have to write a million things. I could just speak them. And that's it.
Bonding. I thought testing the products was very self-explanatory. It was very easy to follow. I found the collages a little difficult to try to get pictures together of what I was actually smelling.
Been interesting. I think I had an opportunity to pretty much express what I wanted to say. I did feel it was longer than maybe because it took me a while to upload my files.
But the video problem is one of the problems that I really did not like, because like I said, I had to, I already had made the first initial reaction to the product, and then I had to re-express what I had done it, not only once but twice after the first time.
Collages we had to create. You got to go out and look for pictures and stuff like that to create things. So basically, it probably took me maybe 2 to 3 hours to just do one exercise. And the last one probably took me since 9 o'clock, and now the time is, 1:44 a.m.
That's why she looks like that. Poor her. So I really did a mix of all the different type of reactions that can happen here. You have consumers. I mean, it was in one country and in one area, and you see that there was technical issues. You have people engaged differently than others. So that just puts up actually things that can happen out there, meaning that when we do an online research, we really have to, like I said at the beginning, keep it extremely simple, extremely just for a short period of time, and maybe over several days, but a short period of time, in order to help them actually not have that aim of someone working until very late at night because she hasn't had the opportunity to do it differently. And also the type of, we had them do collages, and of course you have some consumers, for them it's easier to do a collage, they're visual, so they immediately see things and think that's for that and that. You have others, if we don't have, like when we do it in the sessions, we have magazines from there already so that they have a place to look at already. For these type of consumers, if they're not as visual as others, then it's harder for them. And that's what we see here in saying, well, they say normally you take like about, we were saying 15 minutes, and it took her about 2 hours, 3 hours. And of course, that's not something that we don't want to torture our consumers. In terms of the quality or this multitasking that we were talking about at the beginning, and maybe the question mark, are they really as engaged as we want them to be? What we saw is we did have some, like the typical ones, always on the run. She had that on her, in her kitchen with the radio in the background, and she was always doing like this, and then going back and doing like this. So for multi-sensorial research, we want them to go into their thoughts. It's like where are her thoughts? Is it with, I have to cook, I have to go get the kids, etc. So I have my incentives, I have to give back something, so let's do it. That's the question mark. Then you have children's running around. I mean, I'm a mom as well, so I'm not anti-kids. But I definitely know that it is extremely different when you're at home and working, or kids, they just don't have any barriers. They want to drink, they want to do something, they have that to answer. They just come and run in and do, and you're in your thoughts. You say, oh, what was I thinking about, actually? It's the typical when you go down in your kitchen to go get something, and by the time you get there, you forgot what you wanted. So you have to go up again to get back the memory of what you wanted, and then you have to go back down, and then you know. Because there's so many interacting, it's hard to concentrate. Then you had this nice lady, Kiamaka, who, when it was daytime, she was actually talking very silently when she was answering. So it's like, was the baby maybe sleeping, or did she not want to disturb the husband because he was working from home? There's a lot of issues that we maybe don't think of when we're just throwing this out there. But it's things that we do have to have in mind. And then you do still have some who maybe she had a bad day on that day, however, but who just really totally lacked emotions on that day. If you want just to click on her.
This scent makes me feel bored. It is very light, hard to smell anything.
And for her, she had that face the whole time. So I don't know if the research was so boring or if it was just a bad day for her. Okay, if you can just go back. And then now to the cost, which of course is very important. I put thumbs down. You can click on it. Thumbs down, again, for us, for our multi-sensorial research, where we really have to go deeply into what we're interacting with. What remained unchanged was all about recruitment, software programming, guide development. What was reduced is that we didn't have the facility and the data entry because it was done immediately by consumers themselves. What was added were higher setup costs was the online platform and the technical support for the consumers. We had to give a higher respondent incentives in order to make sure that they stay motivated and complete. And we had higher analyzing costs, bringing to, for us, in our case, 25% increase. Now that's tough when we have clients who want more for less. So the conclusion, very short conclusions, and that aims at what did it enable? We were able, through this online involvement of the consumers, to have a more engaging report. We were able, through this, to visualize the emotions and not just talk about them. On the technical side, you can go broader in terms of geographic. You can have specific target groups, maybe people that are hard to get and you can't get them to coming to a place. You can ask them at home. That's just an extract of all that. What we do put in question in our case is that it was an increase of internal research costs and time. Like I said, why clients want more for less, I mean, they're also themselves, everything has to be done quickly. And for less money, their budgets are cut down. They have quicker launches because the competition is big. I mean, if you think of Asia, everybody wants to be there in the first place and wants to have the first innovation in the first place. Through Twittering and Facebooking, ideas come out or are spread around very, very quickly. So we're just in a time age where everything needs to go quick in order to be the first ones. So that's one of the challenges that we do have. The other one is the technical constraints. Depending on the country, depending on the target group, you have different devices, you have different internet speeds, you have different, like we saw there, for some of them the uploading was working, for others it was not. Why? There's a lot of questions. And then we go global. We have only global research. I mean, I really loved the time where I had one country and one objective, or what to define for one country in one language. Today it's a minimum of 5 when you go out there, and then trying to have a holistic perception for 5 totally different cultures, and you want to get one product that is appealing, highly appealing for all these different cultures, from the U.S. over Asia, over South Africa, and Brazil, Latin America. So keeping all this holistic engagement of all the consumers within just one product. That's from the research perspective, it's hard. And then if you go online, it's hard for that as well because not everybody has the same technical possibility and opportunities. So that's why it's a time really to challenge ourselves. It's a really big challenge because we're actually only at the beginning. We knew it was coming, but it's there from a long time already. It's just we don't know really how to deal with it. I think we're all bouncing our heads on the walls and running from one area to the other. One says bulletin boards are in, so you go to the bulletin boards. And you say online is in, so you go to online moderation. It's just like trying out a lot of things. And I think it's really time to settle down and try to find out what are we really looking for with these new online digital methodologies. What do they really bring us? We want to be more cost effective because we need to be more cost effective. Again, budgets are being cut at consumer and client side. We need to be quicker, and for qualitative research is always a challenge of being quicker. Quantitative, you just press the buttons, and then you have the graphs that come out, and then you have the statistics coming out, and then you have a lot of things just quickly coming out. Qualitative requires thinking, and thinking takes time. To dig into really why did they say, what does it mean that they say that? Yeah. Like you said, if you ask a consumer why did you say that, they'll say something, but you'll get the answer, your research answer and your recommendations, and not just reading the answer why, but in going through the whole research and all the other things and aspects that you've put into this research in order to understand what really is the buzz for this product or not. So that's why I say being more cost effective, quicker, but keeping your research quality, helping your clients. So that's why I say let's discuss and share experience in the sense of I just put some ideas out there, and then I know that a lot of things will be covered over these 2 days. I've got only 5 minutes, okay? So what about the limits? We have translations, say a lot of different countries, a lot of different translations. So how do you deal with these different translations? Do you have a researcher in each one of the different countries who understands really the mentality? How do you deal with that, with the costs as well? The hand-holding. Can you maybe cut costs in recruitment and in building up communities? But what does that mean in terms of costs, in terms of maintenance, in terms of being global? Do you need in your company to specialize in that area, or do you do cooperations with other companies? When and how to combine traditional and digital.